Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, I would like to greet you with the greeting of Islam. Peace be upon you all. Thank you very much for coming this Sunday afternoon, which is a bank holiday, which people could be enjoying themselves somewhere else. I'm sure the enjoyment you will get here probably better, and inshallah will be like an eye-opener. As you know, we presented this presentation in the Holiday Inn when we invited a lot of Salihah leaders, including the MPs and police and anti-terrorist squad and the principals of schools, teachers, many councillors came. We had nearly 40 or 50 people came, including the MP Caroline Spellman and the deputy head of the Salihah police, deputy chief superintendent, and quite few from the anti-terrorist squad, and quite few from the integration team from the council, and many principals and deputy heads. And the importance of this is really, I came to realize even more and more. After we showed the presentation, the Brussels attack happened, and the feedback we had was very encouraging. Many of them were really unaware that this is in fact a group of criminals twisted the Quran, twisted the Hadith to go their own way. So if you take the message from here that we need to educate Muslims in particular, and if you introduce us to schools and colleges and mosques and community centers, so if you know anyone anywhere, we need to go and talk to them, because we need to raise the awareness of Muslims about this subject. Otherwise we will all lose out, and these people are scattered all over the planet now. There's so many of them in Europe, in America, in Africa and Asia, and the killing is so savage, and you will see. Now what I'm going to talk about today, explain the articulated ideology of terrorists, that they use Islam as their vehicle. They claim to be Muslims, but you will see when you look into what they are doing, they take themselves out of Islam. And I will show you exactly why they are not Islamic and wrong in their argument. And I will also show you how to protect Muslims and non-Muslims from their harm. And I will be showing how terrorists have no Islamic training or legal authority, and that they take the scripture out of context, and that they select part of the scripture to recruit people, and also invent new meanings to the scripture, to the Quran and to the Hadith, to support their practices. And eventually, when you go out from here, inshallah, you will be able to say, no, that's not Islam, is not us. We have to stop them. And usually Muslims take knowledge from the Quran and the Hadith and the major institutes which teach Islam, like Al-Azhar, like Al-Qayrawan, like Zaytuna Institute, like Abu Nur Institute. Like myself, studied in Abu Nur Institute in Damascus, and this is my teacher's institute, who's a massive institute, and people come from all over the world to study Islam. And this is my teacher. He died now, but there's a lot of teachers he actually looked after. I had to listen and read about the topic from more than 50 scholars and teachers, and spread across the Muslim world. And obviously I've taken from the Quran and the Hadith. I took from the former head of Al-Azhar, the Sheikh Sha'rawi, the late Sha'rawi, he died, and the Grand Mufti of Egypt, Ali Jum'ah, and also took from the head of the university in Mauritania, Hassan Wildudjo, and also the Mufti of Iskandariya in Egypt, Abdul Ba'ith, and also took from Professor Musayyar from Egypt, Professor Muhammad al-Musayyar, and Professor al-Bouti from Damascus. Professor al-Bouti is actually unfortunately was killed by the terrorists in Damascus in the mosque, because he was addressing this fundamental belief of the terrorists. So he was very hitting the nail on the head really when he was talking against ISIS and Daesh and Qaeda and So they felt that he has to be removed, and they did actually kill him in the mosque. Another teacher I listened to is Mahir al-Hindi, who is his student, and he's not teaching in his place. Also listened to Hamza Yusuf and Sheikh Ahmed Tayyib, the current head of Al-Azhar, Sheikh Ahmed bin Bayya, Mauritania, and he is head of the Muslim League. Also listened to Dr. Sheikh Khalili, who's the Mufti of Oman. Tunisia, I listened to Muhammad al-Barra. I'm from Sudan to Sheikh Sam al-Bashir, and from Egypt again, Yusri Jaber, and Sheikh Habib Jafri from Yemen. From Tunisia, Sheikh al-Irani. My own teacher, Sheikh Fuftaro, I listened, he taught me. And his student, who was my immediate teacher, Sheikh Khani, we still listen to his khutbah online. And also from Sheikh Professor Jamal Badawi from Canada, and many. You go to all the Muslim world: Syria, Egypt, Kuwait, Iraq, Algeria, Syria, Pakistan, Tunisia. From London, we have Sheikh Ahmed Saad, who comes here. I went through the presentation with him. So I managed to collect a lot of knowledge about their ideology and how they negate it. So while these people, they are nothing to do with the Islamic literature. They haven't been trained as Muslim scholars. They haven't been to any Muslim institution. Bin Laden was a civil engineer, and Zahrawi was a medical surgeon. And this guy even worse. He never had read a single book on Islamic theology. And he was described by his own teacher as villainous, ignorant, and deviant. And he did not master a single book on theology of Islam, and he's appointing himself as a Khalifa, the leader of Muslims. Now the terrorists take the scripture out of context, giving the wrong meaning to develop their ideology. Now one of the important things they have is fighting. They fight a group of people. They fight the non-Muslim. They fight Christian and Jew. They fight the Shia, but they fight more the Muslims who they take as apostate, that they left Islam. And they have been killing far much more from Muslim Sunni than they killed from anywhere else. And the problem is they take the Quran out of context. Like this surah in Surah At-Tawbah. They rely on this ayah here. The ayah here in Surah At-Tawbah, Allah starts the surah by saying that this is a declaration of dissociation from God and His Messenger to those whom you had made a treaty among the polytheists. Now there is a story here. Allah Azza wa Jal talking about those who had a treaty with the Muslims, broke the treaty, which was Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, done between Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the people of Quraysh. There is peace for 10 years, no war at all. Now Quraysh went and helped Bani Bakr to fight Bani Khuza'a. Bani Khuza'a were on the side of the Muslims, Bani Bakr were on the side of Quraysh. They broke the treaty and they started the war. So Allah Azza wa Jalla said, you have 4 months cool off period. If you lay your weapons and you admit to peace, there will be no problem at all. You carry on living. If you don't, he asked the Prophet ﷺ that once these 4 months elapses, go and fight the polytheists wherever you find them. But not the idea to kill the polytheists. And it's in the same page. They ignore the first verse from the topic, and they ignore the last ayah, and they take only the middle one, that kill polytheists. And when they look into the last ayah, if any polytheist does not want to fight you and seek refuge with you, you have to take him and keep him under your control, under your supervision, and tell him what Islam is. If he wants to become a Muslim, he can. If he wants to go and live anywhere, it's your duty, O Muhammad and the Muslims, to take him wherever he wants to go. So the fact that you cannot kill the mushrikeen unless they are fighting you is in the same page. That do not kill the polytheists who do not want to fight you. And if any one of the polytheists seeks your protection, then grant him protection. So what they did, instead of taking qatilu, which is the Quran said, if you look into the surah, qatilu, in many of the Quran, he took it as uqtulu. Uqtulu here, because the war started. They started the fighting when they broke the treaty, and you have to finish that fight. While uqtulu came very seldom in the Quran. Rarely you find the word kill. While the Quran say fight back. Qatilu. Qatilu. When they come to fight you, you fight back. They went to the Quran and they said you have to kill all the mushrikeen. So they took this ayah in the Quran, وَقْتُلُوا الْمُشْرِكِينَ وَقَاتِلُوا الْمُشْرِكِينَ كَافَّةً. And they said the meaning of this, to fight all polytheists. Obviously, if you don't know Arabic, or you're not actually educated well in Arabic, even if you are Arab, you wouldn't know. Kaffa means everyone. But here, because Allah Azza wa Jal said, as they fight you kaffa, means that you fight back against disbelievers collectively, all of you together, as they fight you collectively. It's not to kill all the polytheists. So here in Surah At-Tawbah, Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَقْتُلُوا الْمُشْرِكِينَ كَافَةً doesn't mean kill all the polytheists. It means kill them collectively, fight them back collectively as they fight you collectively. While the ISIS translated it as, and fight all polytheists, are not what Allah meant. To fight all the polytheists is not what Allah meant. Allah meant collectively, not all of them. Imagine the Muslims 1.5 billion, they're going to kill 6 billion. What sort of mentality is this? It's never been in Islam that you go and kill people. Full stop. You defend yourself, we'll talk about it later. They came to this ayah in the Quran and they said, قاتلوا الذين لا يؤمنون بالله ولا باليوم الآخر ولا يحرمون ما حرم الله ورسوله ولا يدينون دين الحق من الذين أوتوا الكتاب حتى يعطوا الجزية عن يد وهم صاغرون. Now, this ayah in Surah At-Tawbah, Allah wants us to fight back those who are Christian and Jew if they refuse to pay tax and fight you back. Now, at the time of the Prophet, some of the Sahaba, they came to Umar ibn Khattab, they said, we'll give you the tax. We don't need to fight, and we don't want you to tell us that you are giving us the tax against your will. We are willingly giving to you. We don't want you even to call us saghirin, humiliated. So it's not the fact not that you are killing people. You're establishing a system, establishing a government, and you're applying the law of that country. Everybody pay a tax. If you refuse to pay a tax, the government will force you to pay a tax. If you fight the government, you don't want to pay tax, the government will fight you back. That's in every country. But what they took from this ayah, قاتلوا, fight the people of the book. And they're coming killing people of the book randomly. They might come to Paris. People might say, okay, we'll give you the tax, we'll give you the jizya, don't kill us. But they don't even ask them. They go and explode. So it's not the idea to apply the ayah. They twisted the ayah, and they go and tell people who don't know the Quran, they don't know the hadith, they don't know the history behind the Quran, and they say to them, oh, that's what Allah meant. Fight all those people of the book. It's amazing twist. Now Allah, the Prophet ﷺ said in this hadith, أمرت أن أقاتل الناس حتى يشهدوا أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله. Now the word أقاتل is not أقتل. Fight back those who are fighting you. And then the word hatta, it's not, it doesn't mean for the sake. So fight back, you're allowed to fight back, and hatta means until. So hatta is until, not for the sake of. So you don't fight people for the sake of becoming Muslim. You fight people. If they are fighting you, you fight back, but if they become Muslim, you stop. And this slide here, when Allah Azza wa Jal said there's no compulsion in religion, you cannot force people to become Muslims. La ikraha fi din. There is no compulsion in religion. The ayah explained the hadith. You cannot force people to become believer. You don't make believer, you create more hypocrites. And God said in the Holy Quran, the truth is known, and let whoever chooses to believe, believe, and whoever chooses to disbelieve, disbelieve. They have the right to believe or disbelieve. It's their choice. You cannot force it. So Islam did not come to force itself upon people, force them to believe. And God said in the Holy Quran, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينِ. It's a long surah, a short one. The first ayah, the first verse, you say to them, "O you who disbelieve, you have your own religion and I have mine. Carry on. I'm not going to become like you. You don't want to become like me. It's free. It's a free world. It's a free planet." Now, how do the terrorists recruit vulnerable Muslims? What they've done, they considered all the rest of the Muslims as defectors. They're not Muslims. They call us apostate. And I will show you later why they call us apostate. Because they consider themselves the saved group. Now I'll show you this video, and they say it by word that we get closer to Allah by the killing or through the blood of the apostate, murtaddin. They call us murtaddin. So this video,
يصولون على دماء المسلمين وأعراضهم ومساجدهم، فلم يسعنا والحال هذه إلا أن ندفع صوتهم ونضع نحورنا دون نحور المسلمين.
والله لا نقول لهم إلا كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لأهل المشركين: إنما جئناكم بالذنب فتقرب إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى بدماء هؤلاء المرتدين.
نتقرب إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى بدماء هؤلاء المرتدين. We get closer to God by killing and shedding the blood of all those apostates, which is us. I'm not talking about the Christian, not talking about the Jew, not talking about the atheists, they're not talking about even Shia. They're about murtaddin. Murtaddin who they believe that we, the rest of the Muslims, we are apostates. And they recruit people who had trouble, like you see now. Recruit people from Egypt, from Syria, from Pakistan, Afghanistan, anywhere. Now this is Jerusalem, this is Egypt women, this is Egypt Muslims, and they still carry on waqtuluhum, kill them. This is part of a program, a campaign Habib Jeffrey was leading to show. Now they take this hadith and they enjoy it, and they say they are the Jama'ah. That's the Ummah of the Prophet ﷺ was split into 73, one in paradise and the rest in hell. And they say, we are Jama'ah, we are the Jama'ah, we are the group who are going to paradise, all of you going to hell unless you become one of us. Now, the hadith, they are not scholars to understand it, to start with. Because the Ummah of the Prophet ﷺ is not the Muslims only. The Ummah of the Prophet ﷺ, where all mankind existed from the time he became Prophet till the Day of Judgment. And there's subdivision, Ummatul Da'wah, those who are invited, and Ummatul Ijabah are those who accepted Islam. Now the word 73 cannot be a number which is exact number. Why? Because the Prophet said that, and there's thousands of years coming after him. So if they split the second generation to 73, because they started splitting after the Prophet ﷺ died, they started splitting. Then became Sunni and Shia, and then the Shia became different route, and then the Sunni became different part. But there's other division in going on next year, next century, and next millennium. So it can't be 73 to start with. Secondly, 73, unless it is a Sharia law, like a woman whose husband died, she has to stay without marriage for 4 months and 10 days. That's Sharia, Hukum Shari, a Sharia law. That's you fast month of Ramadan, 29 or 30. You don't fast 35 days, you don't fast 25 days. But when it's come to the history, and the number become irrelevant, because Allah said in the Quran that the Prophet ﷺ, he said to him, if you ask forgiveness for the hypocrites, Allah will not forgive them, and even if you ask for 70 times, Allah will not forgive them. if the Prophet asked for 71 times, will they be forgiven? They will not be forgiven. Even if he asked for 1,000 times or 1,000,000 times. Allah Azza wa Jal said, if the whole trees on earth are pens, and all the seas became ink, and you write the words of Allah, the ink will run out, and the words of Allah will not run out. Doesn't mean if you have 8 seas, the words of Allah will run out. No, even if you have 1,000,000 seas, it's irrelevant. The number is just give you like imagination, to imagine the mighty of Allah Azza wa Jal. But they stuck to this hadith and ignored the next hadith, which tells who are the Jama'ah. So they say, no, we are the Jama'ah, and you are not one of us, you are in hell. And they added to give themselves a bit of authority. They say, we are Ahlul Sunnah wa Jama'ah. We are Ahlul Sunnah, we follow the Sunnah, why not you? Why only you? I'm Ahlul Sunnah, everybody of us here Ahlul Sunnah. And we all Jama'ah. Jama'ah also has, again, Jama'ah could be 10 people, could be 1,000,000 people. You don't restrict it. But what happened here, they called themselves the group and excluded everybody else. But the same narration, and the Prophet ﷺ explained what Jama'ah is. He said, whatever I am following and my companions, ma ana alayhi wa ashabi, what I am upon and my companions are the saved group. So all of us, if we follow the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and follow the Sunnah of his companions, we all going to paradise. Don't come and tell me only you or your group. But when it comes to people who are illiterate, don't know Islam, I don't want to be in hell, I will join you. I'll be part of you. Now, why do terrorists consider our Muslims to be apostates? Why they take us as defectors and we're not Muslims? Now the problem is, you can have your view, you can think that we are Muslim, not Muslim, you have your own ideas, but don't come and kill me because you think you have the right to kill me because I'm apostate. That doesn't exist in Islam. You cannot come and kill people who even leave Islam. You only come people who leave Islam and come back to fight you. You're defending yourself now. Now they take us as apostate because we worship graves, because we form alliances with non-Muslims, because we love non-Muslims, because we do not rule according to the Sharia law, and because we use intermediary between us and God. And we'll explain later what that means. And because we are innovator, bid'ah. Bid'ah is kafir, kill him. Bid'ah, kafir, fine, you think I'm bid'ah, doesn't matter. But to say, go from bid'ah, kafir, kill him, that's not accepted. It's not in Islam. Now what happened now? The Prophet ﷺ said, ask Allah Azza wa Jal, لا تجعل قبري وثنا يعبد. He asked Allah, oh God, do not make my grave an idol that is worshipped. So the Prophet ﷺ asked Allah this. It doesn't mean that every grave, important grave, people worship the grave. Because in the Quran, the people of the cave, when they died, those who were dominant at that time, they said, let us build a mosque near them to remember them and worship Allah Azza wa Jalla and thank Him for that event. People who slept for 309 years. لَنَتَّخِذَنَّ عَلَيْهِمْ مَسْجِدًا. They were not worshipping them. Otherwise Allah will be the first to say it's haram. He wouldn't even mention it in the Quran. The amazing things, you go to books which is written by these people, they started twisting the meaning. They go with their own interpretation to the Quran to say they were worshipping them, that's haram, it's not forbidden by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah mentioning in the Quran, you come and say it's wrong. They switch the meaning to say, oh, we're not supposed to worship. Who said they're worshipping the graves? Yes, we are not supposed to worship the graves, but we are not. I mean, Muslims do bury their awliya near to the mosques. The Prophet himself was buried near the mosque, in his room. So he was buried inside the room, and the room became a grave, a built grave. Because they said, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Ali ibn Abi Talib, go and raise all the graves to the ground. Why Ali ibn Abi Talib and Abu Bakr and Umar, they kept Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the room with the whole room a grave, built grave already. They didn't demolish the room on top of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They kept him in the room, and the room is still there until now. And the same Prophet Ibrahim and the same Prophet John the Baptist, Yahya in Damascus, Umayyad Mosque, the same Prophet Sheath, the same Prophet Yunus. I'll show you now what they have done. So Muslims do not worship graves. They bury people, yes, next to the mosque. And I was saying now, it's in Gamgod Sharif Mosque, they buried Sophia Abdullah outside the mosque. They qualified themselves to be destroyed. So this is what I've done with the mosques which have graves next to it. I'm going to show you this couple of videos.
ومما تفضل الله به على عباده المجاهدين في الدولة الإسلامية في العراق والشام ورجال الحسبة فيها هو إزالة معلم من معالم الشرك ومركز لنشر التشيع والترفض بين أبناء أهل السنة والجماعة في مهنة الرافضة إذ كان به مزارا تقصده الرافضة.
They're removing the signs of polytheism in the Muslim world.
وقل جاء الحق وزهق الباطل إن الباطل كان زهوقا.
You're going to destroy a mosque and it's Allahu Akbar. But they just, because there's a grave there, they destroyed it. Another one. This guy is filming. Abu Irhab Al-Khalili Al-Kalkai. I hope that one of the stone hit him. That's quite but the worse than that they went and destroyed the grave of Prophet Yunus alayhi salam in Nineveh.
أقدم تنظيم داعش على هدم قبر وجامع النبي يونس في الموصل وتسويته بالأرض، وذلك في إطار سلسلة من عمليات الهدم للقبور والجوامع والكنائس التي تشتهر بها مدينة الموصل. من جهته اعتبر الشيخ عامر البياتي الناطق الرسمي باسم هيئة إفتاء أهل السنة والجماعة في العراق أن هذه الجريمة مدانة ومستنكرة بكل ما تحمله الكلمات من معنى، لأن قبور الأنبياء لها حرمة كحرمة قبر النبي محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام.
So what she's saying, which is they have in their mind to destroy the Prophet's Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam grave. They have it in their mind. They don't declare it. Some of them did. They want to remove the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam outside the mosque. Now, the ayah, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه المؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسوله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله. The ayah, we do not differentiate between any of his messengers. They're all the same. If you destroy the grave of Yunus alayhi salam, you will destroy the grave of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They will destroy the grave of Ibrahim in Hebron. They will destroy the grave of Prophet Yahya in Damascus. And they destroyed another prophet's mosque, which is the Prophet Sheath, again in Mosul. This is the mosque. This is written here, Nabi Sheath. Nabi Sheath is one of the prophets mentioned by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is the mosque, the grave somewhere outside, or in the middle or somewhere. Now obviously they know they're destroying it. They have video as well. They're videoing it. And then towards the end they will shout Allahu Akbar. They will come here with their cars and they destroyed the grave of a prophet and they're saying Allahu Akbar. Now, they say we are not Muslims because we form alliances with non-Muslims. Like in the war, in the Gulf War, in Afghanistan, and here and there. And if you form alliance with non-Muslims, you are kafir like them, you deserve to be killed. Because you form alliance with non-Muslims. And they quote this ayah, وَمَنْ يَتَوَلَّهُمْ مِنْكُمْ فَإِنَّهُ مِنْهُمْ. Also they have their 10 commandments, which is written by Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. The number 8 one, Nawaqid Islam they call it, Al-Ashra. The 10 things which make you nullify your Islam. So you're no longer a Muslim if you have one of them. Number 8 is Mudaharat al-Mushrikeen, supporting and aiding polytheists against the Muslims. And they quote this ayah, O you who believe, which is I quoted earlier. Do not take the Christian and Jew as alliance. They forgot that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, or Allah Azza wa Jalla said in the Quran, that Allah does not forbid you with regard to those who fight you not for your faith. They might fight you, but not for your faith. If they don't fight you for your faith, and nor drive you out of your homes, from dealing kindly with them and justly. So yes, you fight for people because of their belief, but you fight people because of food and resources or disagreement, political problems. But if they're not fighting you for your religion, you can't form alliance with them. And the fact that Muhammad ﷺ, when he went to Mecca, Hani came to him and she said, I gave alliance, refuge to one of the kafirin, the unbelievers, and Ali ibn Abi Talib wanted to kill him. So she came to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. She said, I gave him alliance, refuge. I accepted him. I formed like alliance with him. He's under my protection. And what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said? He said, we too have given protection to whom you have given protection, Ya Hani. So did it become kafir? He formed alliance, Muhammad ﷺ, with Najashi before he became Muslim. And he sent Muslims to him in Abyssinia twice. Did Prophet Muhammad ﷺ become kafir because he had alliance with the non-Muslims? Did Muhammad ﷺ become kafir because he made alliances with the Christian of Najran? Hatim ibn Abi Balta'a, when the Prophet ﷺ wanted to go to Mecca, he didn't want to run any war, and he blinded the news from Mecca, and he said, nobody should tell them that we're going to Mecca. And Jibreel came, told Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that somebody is smuggling a message to people in Mecca that you are going there. So he sent Ali ibn Abi Talib with other Muslims, squad, and they brought the lady, and there's a message was inside her hair. Who gave you the message? He said, Hatim ibn Abi Balta'a. He brought Hatim ibn Abi Balta'a. And Hatim said, because you're going to Mecca, you have family, you have people there who know you. If there were a fight, you will be protected. I don't have anybody at all. I'm trying to make a favor to them, telling them that you are going. So when we go there, they will not kill me. So Umar ibn Khattab said, let me kill him. He has committed a major treason. What more than that? Worse than that? You are telling an enemy of the Prophet ﷺ that the Prophet going there. You're forming alliance with them to protect yourself, and you are exposing all the Muslim army into danger. And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said to him, no, leave him. He was fighting with us in Badr. I was one of them. He said, we'll go to hell. He said, he will go to paradise. So the alliance he formed nothing to do with religion. He formed alliance protecting himself from them when he go there. Not because he loved them, not because he became atheist, not because he became polytheist. It's not haram to form alliance unless it is a religious alliance. You agree with their belief. So Muhammad ﷺ in Medina, he formed alliance with all the people sitting in Medina when he came. The Jew, the Christian, the atheist, whatever their religion, fire worshipper. They take us as non-Muslim because we love non-Muslim. If you love non-Muslim, you are kafir, deserve to be killed. And they take this ayah in the Quran, which is true. Don't take the unbelievers as your, love them above faith. Don't take them as guardians to you. So you don't make it as guardian, but it doesn't mean that you have to hate them. So if we are apostate because we love non-Muslims, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ himself, Allah told him that you loved Abu Talib and you couldn't guide him. إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مِنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. So Allah Azza wa Jalla confirmed that Muhammad ﷺ loved his uncle Abu Talib, who was not a Muslim. Did that mean that Muhammad ﷺ is not a Muslim? He's apostate because he loved a kafir, Abu Talib. More than that, Muhammad ﷺ married Maria Qibtiyya. She was Christian when he married her. Did he marry her say, I will marry you, but I have to say I hate you? Doesn't match. How they think, we don't know. You don't love her unbelief. You don't love their action if it's bad action. But you don't hate people. You hate the bad action, the bad behavior, but you don't hate the people. So they say one of the nawaqid Islam become unbeliever if you put between you and God intermediary, wasila. You go to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and you will say, oh Allah Azza wa Jal, forgive me for the sake of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you say that, according to them, you're no longer a Muslim. You deserve to be killed. This is why they're destroying the graves. Because people go and visit the grave and they say, oh Allah, for the sake of Prophet Sheikh, forgive me. They take you as unbeliever. They kill you and destroy the grave and destroy the mosque. That's not a joke. It's used in the past. They say it, we say wrong, you're wrong, it's fine, stay there. Now when they have the land, they have the weapon, they have the ability, they're doing it in practice. They're killing you. They're killing people because they have taken intermediary. While Allah Azza wa Jalla said you should not worship them. You do not worship Muhammad. You do not worship Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You don't worship Ibrahim. You don't worship Yahya. You don't worship Sheikh. You don't worship Prophet Yunus. Worshipping them is haram. But to ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to forgive you for the sake of that guy, Allah said it in the Quran to Muhammad. When they ask you about me, I'm close to them. They shouldn't worry. So Allah confirmed they will come to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they will ask him, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِ عَنِّي. He didn't say they shouldn't ask you, because they say, oh, you shouldn't be intermediary. Allah didn't say they should not ask you. He confirmed, yes, they will ask you. When they ask you, say this. He didn't say haram to ask Muhammad, forbidden to make him intermediary between you and Allah Azza wa Jalla, forbidden to worship Muhammad, forbidden to take him as God. And Muslims don't. And this hadith, a long hadith, and Uthman ibn Hanif, a blind man came to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he asked him to ask Allah to make him see. He was blind. So Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him, oh, you'll be rewarded by Jannah. He said, no, I want to see. I want you to ask Allah to make me see. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him, go home, make wudu, and pray 2 rak'ah, and make this dua. You say, Allahumma inni as'aluka wa tawajjahu ilayka bi Muhammad Nabi Rahmah. He said to him, oh Allah, I ask you and turn my face towards you by the virtue of the intercessions of Muhammad, Prophet of Mercy. Oh Muhammad, addressing Muhammad now, I have turned to you, my Lord, by virtue of your intercession concerning this need of mine, so that it may be met. Oh Allah, accept his intercession concerning me. Because they say in the 10 commandments, commandment number 2, that you make them intermediary and you ask them intercession. Now this blind man, he asked the Prophet ﷺ, he made him intermediary. Oh Muhammad, Ya Muhammad, inni qad tawajjahtu bika. He made him intermediary and he asked him to intercede with Allah Azza wa Jal. So does that mean Muhammad became kafir? It's amazing. I mean, the scholars have not negotiated this with them for years and years and years. Now they're saying it. They're openly fighting back. That belief will take you out of Islam. But this one, he went and made dua. And they said, oh, that's the time when the Prophet ﷺ was alive. But say, who said that Muhammad is dead? Didn't Allah Azza wa Jalla say that وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ الْأَمْوَاتِ, don't think those who fought, who died for the sake of Allah dead. There wasn't Muhammad ﷺ killed by the poison given to him by the Jew. And after 1 year he said that the poison given by the Jew to me has now hit me. Got the end of me now. قطع أبهري. I'll be dying. Didn't he say that النبي في قبره حي? Didn't he say he passed Musa and he was praying in his grave? Who said he was dead? But then more than that, the Sahaba, when they wanted rain, they were asking Allah Azza wa Jal to send rain for the sake of the uncle of his prophet. If his prophet has a value with him, now they're asking Allah Azza wa Jal through his prophet as well, because his prophet's still alive, his uncle's still alive, they want water and Allah rain them. And the blind man he saw. His eyesight came back to him. And Abu Sa'id al-Khudri mentioned also this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever leave his house going to the mosque, he could say, Allahumma inni as'aluka bihaqqi sa'ilina alayk. Whoever leaves his house, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, for the prayer and says, so Allah, I ask you by the right that those who ask you have over you, because I'm not worthy of responding to. I'm asking you for the sake of those who are worthy in your eyes, who are close to you, who you love and they love, to cure me, to give me this, to give me that, to forgive me. So you are taking the intermediary. Does that make you kafir? Is Prophet Muhammad ﷺ teaching us to become kafir? Because he's asking us, yeah, you can use intermediary. Ask Allah Azza wa Jalla. So, worshipping this haram, yes, you are not allowed to worship anybody but Allah Azza wa Jal, but you are allowed to love people. You are expected to hate the bad deeds, like Lut alayhi salam, he said, that's in the Quran, he said, I do detest your doing. I hate what you're doing. I don't hate you. This one of the verses which they take that whoever rules by anything other than what Allah sent to Muhammad is kafir. And they take these ayahs from the Quran. Whoever, if any, do fail to judge by what God has revealed, they are no better than unbelievers. And the second ayah, this is 544, second one 545, and if any fail to judge by what God has revealed, they are no better than wrongdoers. And they take the third ayah 47, and if any fail to judge by what God has revealed, they are no better than those who rebel. Whoever rule, ومن لم يحكم بما أنزل الله فأولئك هم الكافرون ومن لم يحكم ما أنزل الله فأولئك هم الظالمون ومن لم يحكم ما أنزل الله أولئك هم الفاسقون. Now this wasn't new. This appeared when the Muslim Brotherhood started their movement in 1922, and they started fighting governments because they are not ruling according to Sharia, and taken also by Hizb al-Tahrir. But Daesh and ISIS magnified it by 1,000,000, and they started fighting not only the leaders, they're fighting the leaders of the Muslim world, they're fighting those who work for the leaders, and now they're fighting those who are agreeing for those who work for the leaders to work for the leaders. So it became like they're fighting all of us, because we are not ruling according to the Quran, what Allah revealed in the Quran. Now, Sheikh al-Dildo went and discussed with them in the prison in Morocco, and he said to them, let's take the ayah. Allah said in the Quran, like what you see on the screen, they chopped the first of the ayah, beginning. Allah said, we have sent down the Torah, and in it is guidance and light. And he expected the Jew to follow the Torah. And he said, those Jew women here who do not rule according to the Torah, they are disbeliever in Torah. Has nothing to do with Muslims. He's not talking about Muslims at all. So what he said to them, Shaykh al-Duddo, Hassan Duddo, he said to them, look into this here. The waw here, a letter, which means that all the talking here relate to the previous sentence. Those who were given the Torah. And then he said to them, they ignore proposition, and you're saying, you started straight, man lam yahkum. They ignored the waw. They might put the waw, but they don't say the meaning of it. But then he said to them, what Allah meant here by whoever? Is this general? Whoever doesn't rule with what Allah has said is unbeliever? Or is it restricted to a certain group of people? They said, no, it's general. He said, okay. Do you, what Allah sent down? Torah, the Gospels, Injil, and the Quran. And he was saying to this qaida mentality, he said, are you ruling according to Torah? He said, definitely not. He said, okay, you are kafir then. Because you are supposed to rule with whatever Allah sent down. They said, no, we don't. He said, was Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ruling according to Torah? They said, no. But he said, you are including him as well. If whoever here is general, everybody never ruled by Torah, he's kafir, including Muhammad. They said, no, it's exemption. He said, okay, here's the Quran, but that we exempt Muhammad. Added. Allah didn't add it. You are adding it. So Allah didn't mean the Muslims. He meant the Jew who do not apply the Judaism, they are kafirin in Judaism. And the next ayah, the Christian who don't rule according to the Gospels, to the Injil, they are fasiqun. They are disbelievers in their own religion. We have nothing to do with us. Otherwise, you make yourself kafir, you make all the Muslims kafir, you make Muhammad kafir sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because he didn't rule according to the Gospels, he didn't rule according to Torah, he ruled according to Quran. So when they mislead Muslims and they take the ayah out of its context and they run with it, they damage themselves, damage everybody else. And you wonder why Muslim Brotherhood did not succeed. They've been running since 1922. They had the first hit and the second and third and fourth in Syria and Iraq and Egypt and Yemen in Sudan and everywhere, even in Saudi Arabia, everywhere. Because they are taking Quran out of context, Allah didn't mean it. So okay, you want it, okay, off you go. Now Allah Azza wa Jal praising the Torah and the Gospel and criticizing those who don't follow the Torah and Gospel. But what they do, they cut and paste. Now they consider us kafirin because we are innovator, bid'ah. Fine, they used to say it, it doesn't matter. Don't make salah on the Prophet after adhan, okay, fine. Or don't make dua after the salah, okay, that's fine. Don't do this, that's fine. But go your bid. But now it's saying you're kafir if you don't do it, they kill them. And if they stop that, they're being fine. But when they come, develop, now you have the first exaggerating their ideas, then overvalued ideas, then extreme ideas, then fanatic ideas, then become criminals. And they became, now whoever bid'ah, he is to be killed. If you create something contrary to what's in the Quran, what's in the Sunnah, it's rejected. If you create something that it's not there in the Quran or Sunnah, it's not bid'ah. So the Prophet ﷺ said, whatever whoever invented in our religion something which is not minhu, is not of its type, it's bid'ah. Now the linguistics say minhu means ينتمي إليه بالمعنى and فيه منتمي بالشكل والمضمون. Now if you bring something to Islam which is not of its type, is bid'ah. While if it's already, there's dua in the Quran, in Islam. If you do the dua after the salah, you do it after you have your food, wherever you do it, it's in Islam. To make dua, it is in the religion. You're not going to bring from outside. So this is it's something which is extremely dangerous. If you say to anyone who do something which is not in the Quran, but not in clash with the Quran or Sunnah, that you are bid'ah. It has to clash with something in the Quran. Because otherwise you cannot do anything at all. Because the Sahaba came to the Quran, first they wrote it in one book. It wasn't the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Secondly, they started putting dots and vowels on it. Thirdly, they came to reading the Quran and made rules on reading the Quran. It wasn't part of it the time the Prophet ﷺ never done it. They came to the Hadith, they collected the Hadith and they made rules for the Hadith and they made a lot of discussion about it. So when you come and the person you don't like, you accuse him of bid'ah, your opinion, but if you accuse him in bid'ah and then take him out of Islam and then you kill him, that's really nothing to do with Islam. They are just destroying Muslims. And the Prophet ﷺ said, whatever I order you to do as much as you can. Whatever I forbid, leave as much as you leave it, don't do it. But don't ask me about something I didn't mention, because it might become too difficult for you. So if I didn't say anything about it, it's halal. You just carry on doing it. Because Allah is not unaware of what we are going to do. Yeah. What is the Islamic teaching on fighting back? So what Islam says about fighting back, in Mecca for 13 years the Muslims never fought against anyone, and even they were asked to walk away. In Medina they were allowed to fight back. So Jesus stayed only 3 years as a prophet, advising. Prophet Muhammad stayed 13 years and his enemy were fighting him and he was walking away. Only in Medina he was permitted to fight back. Again back you are allowed to fight back. You're not allowed to initiate a fight. Whenever initiating a fight mentioned in the Quran is a continuation of a fight already started by them. They started the fight, I will carry on until they stop and they want peace. Now, Islam said, Allah said, fighting back is permitted for you and it is disliked to you. Muslims by nature hate killing. Muslim by nature would not like to go to fight. When they were given the choices of taking the caravan or taking the Quraysh and fight them, they chose the caravan. They chose to go for the caravan and avoid the fighting. By nature, Muslims do not fight. They don't like to fight. Fighting in Islam allowed us in self-defense. That's international law. Fighting in Islam allowed to end a conflict. Again, it's international law. Fighting in Islam to defend the freedom of belief. Again, it's international law. And fighting in Islam is to defend the oppressed. Again, it's international law. Nobody will disagree with us. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, fight for the sake of God those who fight you. And then why not fight for the sake of Allah and for the sake of protecting the ill-treated, the weak, the oppressed men, women and children. And also Allah Azza wa Jalla says, fight back, all of you fight back against the one who are transgressor. They refuse to stop a fight, they carry on fighting, you have to stop them fighting. And you fight back to establish the freedom of belief. Now, this phrase here, we shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds, we shall fight in the fields and in the streets, we shall fight in the hills. Who said that?
Churchill.
Yeah. So, you're fighting to defend yourself, nobody will be against you, but to initiate a fight. So, strict rules forbidding the killing of the innocent in Islam. You're not supposed to kill a child, kill a woman, to elderly. You're not supposed to practice any mutilation. You're not allowed to cut trees, destroy buildings, kill animals, kill people worshipping in their monks and chapels and churches. Like destroyed a lot of churches, Daesh. Destroyed a lot of, even mosques they destroyed. You're not allowed to destroy villages or towns. They even destroyed Palmyra, which is old monuments standing there. Sahaba saw it, they never touched it. Tabi'een saw it, never touched it. Tabi'een saw it, they never touched it. The first, second generation after the Prophet ﷺ, which they claim they are following them because they are the Salaf, they never touched these places. They left it. Prophet Yahya buried inside Umayyad mosque. They never removed them. Hussein ﷺ buried outside Umayyad mosque. It's still there. It's within the complex of Umayyad mosque. You go there, it's the courtyard there on the left, it's Hussein. Buried, he was one of the Sahaba or Tabi'in. Buried by the Sahaba or Tabi'in. So, the Muslims are not allowed to, if they find an enemy running away, you're not supposed to kill them. You need to grant them security if they come to you. Now, the worst, look this ayah, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا. Here Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying, and those who believe, they say, we feed, and they feed for the love of Allah, the indigent, the needy people, the orphans, and the captive. And they say, we feed you for the sake of Allah alone. No rewards do we desire from you, nor thanks. We feed the captive. What ISIS has been doing? Killing the captives. It's in the Quran. It's in the Quran. You're expected to feed them, to dress them, to give them accommodation, to keep them safe, to treat them very ill. Salahuddin Ayyubi, Salahuddin is his name, in the West they say, he was treating King Richard the Lionheart in his tent. That's Muslims. And they went and burned the pilots, the Jordanian pilots, who they caught. He was their captive. And the Prophet ﷺ said, no one should punish with the fire but the creator of the fire. There's a strong hadith. And they went and burned this guy alive. And they're cutting heads of their captives. That's nothing to do with Islam, obviously. What they do, how they recruit their people, they use the word jihad. Because jihad has magic power. Also, jihad has several meanings. They take the ayah that's never think that those who have been killed for cause of Allah are dead. Rather, they are alive with their Lord receiving provision. So they come to me, oh, you will not die, you will be a martyr, you will go straight to paradise. Don't worry, you just go explode there. They say to them, it's shortcut to paradise. All your sins will be forgiven, even if you haven't prayed or fasted. And they say the only requirement you say, Ashhadu la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Take this bomb and go and throw it. You got straight to paradise. So they managed to attract people who have no formal education anywhere. They are young lack education, or they are politically dissatisfied, or they're socially deprived, or they're criminals or outlaws, whatever. They never came to people who are really well educated and managed to recruit them. And this is the Paris one. They were running a pub. Okay, I guess we go to paradise, shortcut. But they don't tell them that whoever kills one human being will be like killing all mankind. They never tell them that whoever kills an innocent person, he will ban him from going to paradise. They never tell them that whoever kills a believer deliberately, he will definitely be staying in hell forever. And they don't tell them that you're not supposed to initiate a fight. Because they replaced qatilu, fight back, by uqtulu, kill. And many people actually brainwashed by them. You go to paradise, what's best? You will be received by 70 women. So why we can easily call the terrorists like Daesh and Qaeda and Nusra and whatever non-Muslims? Because they do these things, which is their understanding to the Quran and Hadith will take even Prophet Muhammad out of Islam. Their understanding will make Muhammad non-Muslim. They made us non-Muslim, and the same understanding applied to the Prophet. You make the Prophet not Muslim, and they consider all other Muslims are apostate. And the Prophet he said, if you say to somebody who is a kafir, that he is disbeliever, one of you is. So if I'm not disbeliever, then he must be him. And they do not apply the law of Allah on fighting, and they repeatedly kill innocent people. And the most important reason is deliberately change, add, delete, ignore, or take out of context verses from the Quran. Allah has described them, those who take part and reject parts, that they are unbelievers. And Allah talk about those who conceal parts of the Quran, that are unbelievers. And Allah talk about those who deliberately change the meaning of the Quran, that are unbelievers. So what we have told you so far, looking into what we have been said, that terrorists do take the scripture out of context to serve their political objective. They select part of the scripture and ignore others, and they invent new meaning to scriptures, to the Quran or the Hadith. And they ignore all the scholars who were telling them that's wrong for the last 1400 years. What we say that fighting back is regulated in Islam and handed to legally established government, and fighting is hated by Muslims, and there is no compulsion in religion. And we should live in harmony with all the people, Christian, Jew, Hindu, polytheist, whatever. When they fight us, we defend ourselves. We're not short of that. Now Marwan is going to tell you about what Islam is and what we have to do about it. So we have ourselves to go and do a lot of education like this. We really need. Unless we go and take that initiative, we're all in trouble. Now we have 15 minutes, unfortunately for Marwan. We should deprive them from the word Muslims. We should never allow them to say that they are Muslims. Hopefully. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه